Blessy was the highest paid director
Yeah.
in the Malayalam industry, and forget the part that he was the highest paid. He was the most coveted. Like
Right. Celebrated. Yeah. Yeah.
any big star would absolutely love to do a Blessy film.
Right.
Like to have that one Blessy film in a repertoire is like something that all of us desperately wanted. At that stage in his career, he decides that he's going to just for the next 16 years do one film. Losing weight is nothing compared to that. One thing that I want to tell people is this film and this transformation should not be a weight loss inspiration for you.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's just one of those characters that will remain in any actor's repertoire forever. I might now end up doing another 200 films, another 300 films, but this will still be there. At the very end of it, after 3 years of the struggle, when he makes it out of the desert and he is in a jail awaiting deportation back to India, there is a moment where he realizes that he actually got picked up by the wrong person from the airport.
Right.
He was there on a legit visa with a proper job awaiting him. But he got picked up by the wrong person.
And one wrong thing.
One wrong turn
Yeah.
is what everything is because
Changes.
of.
Right. Prithvi, welcome to Bollywood Hangama. Always good to see you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Right. You know, I saw this poster and it took me back to all the actors I've interviewed who have lost weight, including Joaquin Phoenix for Joker.
Yeah.
And he spoke about his journey, but that was around 23 kgs that he lost. How much did you lose?
I lost 31 kilos.
Wow, 31 kilos.
Yeah.
That does take a toll on health.
Yes.
What was your journey? What would you tell people?
Don't do it, is what I would tell them, to start off with. Unless, of course, you have a clinical reason to be losing 1/3 of your body weight, or if you're an actor, who really wants to do that for a character you're playing. As actors, you have to understand the fact that your body is your primary instrument,
Right.
and there will be scenarios where you'll have to put your body through less than ideal circumstances. But I said yes to this film in 2008, 2009, which is 16 years ago. The moment I said yes to this film, I knew what I was getting into, and I knew that if I had apprehensions in my mind about the transformation that I would have to go through, then the favor that I should be doing this film, and more importantly, the favor that I should be doing the person who actually lived this life,
Right.
Najee,
Yeah, yeah.
should be to say no, But I said yes to the film, and then I knew what I had to do. And it really wasn't, the 31 kilo mark was not there, in my view. It was always about lose as much weight as I can.
Okay.
And we did the beginning portions of the film that was shot in Kerala, and then we continued on to the first desert schedule in Jordan, which now we within the crew refer to as the fat desert schedule, where actually, for the first parts of the film, you will see a very fat me. In the sense, I don't think you would ever see a heavier me in any of my films. I really put on weight, and that was part of the plan, so that the changeover seems all the more drastic.
Right.
So I put on a lot of weight, and we finished the fat schedule. And the idea was that we break shoot back then for 7 months. 7 months, and I lose as much as I can in
Right.
those 7 months.
As much as you can was your decision, or Blessy said that?
No, because none of us thought 30 kilos is going to be possible, right? So we just decided as much as I can. But I think I sort of went at it like some strange laser focus happening, and at the fag end of my transformation process, I went to Austria to this
Austria,
facility
yeah.
called Viva Mayer. And I remember day one when they told me, "Why are you here?" I said, I want to try and lose a bit more weight before joining the film.
So what is that facility like?
So it's actually a wellness facility.
Wellness
It's not a weight loss facility. So, and they don't even advertise it as a weight loss facility. It's more like a wellness facility, like a gut cleanse and all that. But when you go through that process, more often than not, people end up losing weight.
Yes.
So my idea was, okay, I've pushed so much. Let me see if I can push that one final inch. So I went there and I told them, this is what I'm looking to do. And the doctors told me, if at all you're going to be in this facility, we are going to make you put on a few kilos, because it is absolute,
Not advisable.
bottom line now.
Right.
And I remember the doctors telling me this, and I called Blessy, the director, from there, and I told him, you know what, the doctors are telling me that I immediately need to put on weight. But I did not. So I had come down to like lost 31 kilos, and in fact, the thinnest version of me is not in
the
any of
poster.
these posters. Actually,
Okay.
it's reserved for that shock value scene
Right.
in the film. But yeah, I mean, it really wasn't an enjoyable experience. I mean, I remember my my teeth started shaking at one point, you know, because it wasn't fun. It wasn't a good feeling. But thankfully, this is one of those films where you're so deep into the character arc that when you're on set and you're in the process of making the film and portraying the character, thankfully you sort of forget that you're hungry, you forget that you're weak. That helped me. But where I got really stuck was when we had to stop shoot for the pandemic.
Yes.
And we had a 1.5 year break
Right.
in between. And the big question mark was, how am I going to be able to
Do this again.
do
yeah.
this again? Yeah. So I remember the second time we knew that okay, at this particular month we can restart shoot. We had this.
But you put on weight by then?
Yeah, I had not like back to my normal self, but I had put on enough weight to be safe.
Okay.
So the second time we started this, my general physician told me don't even think about it. But I told Blessy I'm going to try, but I really don't know if I didn't even know if my body would respond the same way. But I think it's just a film. Maybe it's just some divine, design for this particular film that I came back almost to the exact same weight.
Wow.
Yeah, exact same weight. And no, I was hypoglycemic for a long while after the film. I had low blood sugar and all that. Thankfully, I'm okay now, and I hope there are no long-term repercussions. But at the outset, if there is one thing that I want to tell people is this film and this transformation should not be a weight loss inspiration for you.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Right. There are hardly roles that come where an actor gets to put in so much, an actor puts in so much. Here, maximum is getting a six-pack ab, and everybody.
I've done that multiple times.
Yeah, and that itself is every interview you ask, how did you manage to do that? So this is another level. I wanted to ask Blessy about it's great for a filmmaker to have an actor who's putting in so much. What were your talks with him through this process? Was he okay? Was he worried that you're healthy and safe?
I'm sure he was worried, but he obviously didn't show it.
Okay.
See, the thing is, I understand people look at my commitment towards this film, giving it a magnitude that thankfully it deserves, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that people now talk about how much I've given to this film. But I always bring up this one point. My commitment and its magnitude sort of dwarfs itself when you put it in perspective with what Blessy has done for the film.
Right. True.
So in 2008, when Blessy decided that this is the next film he's going to do, Blessy was the highest paid director in the Malayalam industry. And forget the part that he was the highest paid. He was the most coveted. Like any big star, any big star would absolutely love to do a Blessy film.
Right.
Like to have that one Blessy film in a repertoire is like something that all of us desperately wanted. At that stage in his career, he decides that he's going to just for the next 16 years do one film. Losing weight is nothing compared to that.
That's very true. What do you think? What do you think drives him? 16 years. You've done this for 6 years.
We started shoot in 2018,
right?
And we wrapped in 2022 late. But shooting was just part of it. Like from 2008 to 2018, it was just a journey that involved pretty much only Blessy and me because it was impossible to imagine something at this scale in Malayalam back in 2008.
Right.
But then what happened to Malayalam cinema between 2008 and 2018, how our sort of industry dynamics completely changed, gave us the liberty to make the film that you're now going to see. This is not something we could have dreamt of as a Malayalam film 15 years back.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know which other word to use, but for you and Blessy both, this kind of madness, this kind of, in a very good way, a celebrated madness, is it because you want to tell this immigrant story out there, you think it deserves to be told, or it's just your creative juice that's flowing?
See, every film is about that one story you absolutely want to say, right? I mean, we can't sort of make this film appear special for that reason. Every film is pretty much that.
Okay.
But for me and for Blessy, what is truly telling is the fact that we are, whatever you see in this film is a life that someone actually lived.
Yeah.
And that person is still very much
Yeah.
around.
Person of
Najib,
art.
I speak to him quite often.
Okay.
I see him now and then. And our whole endeavor was to try and do justice to what he had to live through. It's impossible to encapsulate the whole thing. It's in fact impossible to make the entire Ardjividam book into one feature film. That would mean like a 9-hour feature film. So this is for people to walk into a film theater and experience sort of, oh, this is what he must have lived through for those 3 years, 3+ long years. And it's a very deep meditative character study. The whole film is designed in that fashion. So from Blessy's point of view as a maker and from my point of view as an actor, we were very, very particular that if we are doing this, we had to go all in. We had to go all in. Because Ardjividam was also a book that multiple filmmakers wanted to try a hand at into making a feature film. And pretty much any actor would die to do this character, because it's just one of those characters that will remain in any actor's repertoire forever. I might now end up doing another 200 films, another 300 films, but this will still be there. Ardjividam, Goat Life and Najib will always be there.
Right. When you meet Najib, when you said you're in touch, when you initially met him, what drives him today also? What keeps him going?
It's something, it's very interesting. Of course, I knew of him. He was always accessible.
Okay.
But the first time Najib and me spoke is exactly right after me giving my last shot for the film.
Okay, not before that.
So he was there behind the camera and we said cut, and that's a wrap on the film, and that's when I spoke to Najib for the first time, and that conversation we have filmed.
Wow.
We have filmed that conversation, and I'm assuming it should come out very soon.
And why not before that?
So it was a conscious decision, because I have had the privilege of portraying real life characters multiple times in my career, and I have always sort of from experience realized that for a cinematic narration, it might not be the best way to sort of go see someone, speak to someone, and try and create an imitation of that person on screen. I would always go with trying to create an interpretation of that person on screen. And the film in itself is an interpretation of the book written on that person's life.
Right.
So my conversations were more with Benjamin, the person who wrote the book after having studied what Najib went through. And also some of these people, much like Najib, are not the most articulate. They more often than not are not able to put it into words what they've been through. But something that struck me so profoundly is that when I finally spoke to Najib, and like I said, we have filmed that conversation, there were multiple questions I asked him on specific instances, like, is this what you felt when this happened? And it was so profound when he became comfortable enough to speak to me, and he replied, and so many things that I thought this is what I should be thinking of and feeling when I'm portraying, when I'm acting in a particular moment, is exactly what that man felt. Is exactly what Najib felt, and that was a huge moment for me, not just as an actor, even as a person. So I'm sitting there and thinking, with my nutritionist and trainer and doctor on set and 2 cameras rolling and 300 people around me, in that solitary moment when I'm trying to cut off from all this around me and think of the moment as an actor, maybe that for that 1 second, I felt what he must have felt when he was all alone with absolutely zero hope, not knowing if he'd ever make it out of that place. That was such a profound spiritual moment.
Right. Having lived through this character, what would you like to tell people? The thing is, still, even today, going abroad for work is such a thing. Like everywhere, not just in Kerala, everywhere.
I don't think it's about going abroad for work. Contextually speaking, okay, this experience that happened to Najib happened when he went abroad to work, but this could happen to anyone, anywhere. So I wouldn't associate this experience with going abroad to work. this could be anyone, anywhere.
But any precaution one should be like, someone tells you, "Ki, come, I have a job for you, let's go."
Absolutely. So at the end, one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the whole film is, for me, not the film actually, heartbreaking moments in Najib's life for me, is at the very end of it, after 3 years of the struggle, when he makes it out of the desert and he is in a jail awaiting deportation back to India. There is a moment where he realizes that he actually got picked up by the wrong person from the airport. He was there on a legit visa with a proper job awaiting him. But he got picked up by the wrong person.
And one wrong thing.
One wrong turn is what everything is because of. So I don't know if those things happen any longer in today's day and time. But in 1993, when there were no mobile phones, no smartphones, no internet accessibility, that happened to him. And it was just that one small wrong turn, and his life is entirely taken a different direction.
Sad. True. There are many videos on YouTube of you guys in Jordan getting stuck during COVID. Here's a crew of hundreds of people looking at you and Blessy because you're now what to do. At that time, what did you both talk along with your producers? How are you going to handle this? What are you going to get them back? Stay there?
So when the international lockdown happened and we had to stop shoot, obviously we never thought it was going to be such a big break. Every day we used to think, okay, must be this 1 week, or okay, from Monday we might be able to start shoot. And even that's the kind of news that we also kept getting, that it's just this, there's a lockdown for 1 week and then you restart. But it just kept getting extended and extended and extended. And then air travel came to a complete halt. And this crew, we were stuck in the middle of a desert in Wadi Rum, in a desert camp. And every other camps in Wadi Rum had shut down. And only this one camp was remaining open because we had nowhere else to go. No hotels were open, nowhere else to go. And we were there for a long, long time. And I have to, at this moment, actually thank the producers of the film because it was not an easy task to be maintaining this crew day in, day out with no shooting happening, and all the cost that they bore towards that exercise is not something you're going to see in the film.
That's true.
But contrary to popular narrative back home, it wasn't like we were in dearth of anything. We had a beautiful desert camp to live in. We had great food. We were playing cricket. And even as we left Wadi Rum, I don't think the province of Aqaba had any cases of COVID yet reported. So for us, the pandemic was something happening far away. But that didn't make it any easier because one thing that was really, like this giant elephant in the room amongst us was we really did not have a date on when we could go back. At one particular point at the end of the second month, we were hearing stories about this could be a year. And I'm thinking, my God, by the time I go back, my daughter will be a different person. True. So, which again, strangely, as an actor for me, I started thinking about Najib then. Because when Najib left, his wife was 2 months pregnant.
My God.
And there's a moment in the film, I don't know if I should say it, but there's a moment in the film where at the end of the ordeal, 3 years later, he finally gets to make a phone call.
Oh my God.
And his wife picks up the phone and he hears a baby crying.
My God.
So again, at that point, when I started thinking of, my God, I mean, if it's going to go on for much longer, my daughter, my wife, my family, and I suddenly just again pushed me to the Najib thought process, like, what must he have been thinking of?
And today, at least, we have video calls. That time there was none of that.
Exactly. I was like, what must he have been thinking of? What was going through that man's mind?
True. You said earlier that, this could have not been made in Malayalam cinema many years ago. Today, is it because it's a different audience, it's a different time? What has changed?
It's a combination of multiple things. One is that the dynamics of the industry, Malayalam industry, have changed a lot. We can afford to spend a lot more money on our films now, thankfully. And secondly, yes, cinema in general is very fast moving towards a place where, we are going to be linguistically delimited now. I think we are already there partially, But today, like when a Salar released, I think people everywhere associated it to being their film.
Right.
But I have no such wrong assumptions about this film. This will always be a story from Kerala,
Right.
because it is very rooted. Najib's character is very rooted to Kerala, but the story in itself, I believe, is truly universal. It's truly global in that sense that it is that tale of survival, that tale of one man holding on to his faith and not giving up. It is just, I think, one of those stories that everyone will relate to. And the fact that every moment you see in this film is a moment that somebody actually lived through, and that someone is alive and well and amongst us today to tell us this happened and this is what I felt when that happened. That is just amazing. I don't know if you're going to have that experience with a piece of cinema very often.
Right. Are you enjoying this phase of industries working together? You releasing Kannada films in Kerala, in Malayalam, everybody working with each other in Hindi also. Karan Johar would come there to release something. What is this phase like? You always knew, you've been a big flag bearer of Malayalam cinema since I've spoken to you. You always knew this day will come.
I did, and there are multiple reasons. Thankfully, multiple factors that have accelerated the journey. But the destination was always this, and I don't think we are there yet. We are still traveling.
Okay.
But it's wonderful to be in a place where see, when this film was ready for release,
Right.
it took one phone call from me to Anil Tadani,
Yeah.
to Maitri,
Yeah.
to Red Giant, to Hombale, to tell them I'm doing this film. It's a film that I think deserves to be seen all over the world. I want you guys to release it in your markets.
Wow.
And it was not even a discussion. It was like, sure, Prithvi, just let us know when.
Amazing.
See that synergy of like-minded people, and this happens only because all of us truly love cinema, and all of us want us to reach a place where it is Indian cinema, right? Like we were all distributors. Like this is being distributed by Prithviraj Productions, my company in Kerala. So these are all the companies that work together to distribute Salar,
Right.
KGF 2 before that, and the next big film that is a pan-India release. I'm sure again all of us will be working together. So for us, it's no longer about releasing one film and what monies come from that.
Right.
It's one cog in a much larger process.
Correct.
So Ardajivitham, much like multiple films that have happened in recent past and are going to happen in the very foreseeable future, it's one step towards this long journey. And for the longest time, even people like Karan Johar have been speaking to me about how eventually we will get to a place where we are all just making Indian cinema.
Indian cinema. Nice, nice. That's a great vision. And you, like I said, you always had that. Lastly, what can you tell us at this stage for your fans? What are you directing? Where is it? What stage?
I am in the middle of directing a film which is a sequel to my first directorial. It's a sequel to Lucifer.
Yes.
It's called Empuran, or Lucifer 2. It's again got Mr. Mohanlal in the lead, and I've just wrapped up a schedule in the US for that film.
Wow.
And yeah, I have another release coming up very soon, which is in Hindi, called Bade Miyan Chote Miyan,
Yes.
which is also a film that I'm quite excited about. I think, I think that film, when you get to see more of the film, will surprise a lot of people. So, yeah.
That's completely different from the work that you have done this time. So looking forward to that as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Prithvi, for your fans and from everyone, all I can say is that just keep doing this. Thank you for entertaining us.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to meeting you again. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
you.
so
Yeah.
much.